Welcome to Home's Room. Just like Homeroom, we start off our day getting together with our homies, swapping stories, even a little kiss and tell action. This podcast contains language not suitable for younger listeners, topics about sex and mental health. Discretion is advised. Our views are our own. Let class begin. Welcome to Home's Room. I have 3 guests today. I am kind of excited about this, and one of the 3 happens to be the first repeat guest, and I don't count Caitlin, sorry, as a repeat guest because you're the co-host. You just are the co-host. But Shawn from What the Bleep is with me, and he brought. We're going to be talking about what you could buy, but he brought his guys with him, his team from What the Bleep. So yeah, we're going to talk about games today. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves because, like I said, there's 3 of them on that side instead of just one like normal. So what's going on, guys?
Well, I kind of hoped I'd be back, and this time I decided to drag some fellows with me here. So it's good. I'm Shawn. I was here and talked about video games, and apparently was super optimistic. And I'll have to change that opinion here today. Maybe, I don't know.
And I'm Mason. I got dragged here as well, as I kind of got dragged into this podcast. No, I'm kidding. I love doing this. I love doing this stuff. But
we did kind of drag you on, though.
a little bit. But I'm really excited to get on here and talk about what we're gonna talk about. I don't want to spoil it yet, but I'm really excited about this.
And I'm Thomas. I'm along for the ride. I say that as one of the 2 originators, because Shawn already told the story on his episode, so go listen to that. But yeah, that was genuinely the story. We were in the office and we were like, "You want to do a podcast?" Yeah. So.
I just happened to be there, right place, right time.
Yeah, I love that your cynicism is already coming through, because that's like that's one of my favorite things about What the Bleep is the like quiet, stoic cynicism that comes out of you. I love it.
Sick.
But yeah.
Look, I'm taking it.
Exactly. Like they said, that episode and our timeline has dropped today, or I guess 2 days ago. Yesterday, what is today? Tuesday?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's been a week. Yeah, yesterday. So it's always interesting to hear those episodes back, especially months later or however long. And you guys know, as like podcasters, like you forget you had that conversation, but you remember it existed, and then you're like, oh yeah. And sometimes it's like, damn, I sound smart, or damn, I sound stupid, or what the hell were we talking about? So
it's usually that second one. From my experience, I'll listen to our episodes and I'm like, what the hell am I talking about?
I've been getting a lot of that personally with the last season, though, because the first whole season we did, it was basically record that week, and then that week that episode got uploaded. So the conversation was still kind of fresh in my mind. But now with this second season, we've been recording a lot ahead of time, so we'll record like a bunch of episodes in a week, and then they'll come out like weeks later. And I'll have like completely forgotten by that point that we had even talked about that game, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's right, it's this episode now.
So that learning experience, learning through stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's the best part about it. I don't know. I mean, at least for me, like you guys record locally, so like it's a little bit different. I record on software using Riverside, and I've enjoyed like the learning curve because I'm not tech savvy when it comes to like that kind of thing. I'd probably do better with like local recording than I would like web-based, because I'm at the mercy of internet. I'm at the mercy of like the other person on the other side's internet, all that kind of stuff. So like for what you guys have been able to accomplish, testing things out and learning along the way, like even the episode that like you guys tagged as like bad audio wasn't that like knowing that like, oh, this one might not sound as good as the other ones did. It still wasn't that like that jarring or that bad. And I think that's a really good accomplishment. I got the compliment that like my audio quality and the conversations that I'm having sound like a season 3 of a podcast. And I will pass that compliment on to you, where you guys definitely sound like you're on, season 3 or 4 and you got the bugs figured out. I would never know that you were facing, any kind of adversity except for maybe getting stabby with each other in a room that we can't actually see.
So a funny thing on that, just a story for everything here. We recently had an episode where we covered a game, and Mason said something, and I had to cut it out because it just it broke the mics a little bit. But Thomas actually stood up and stepped away and screamed at Mason, and I had to cut it out. I edited the episode today, and I had to cut it out. But I was trying so hard to make it work because it is actually hilarious. Of just this what do you mean by that?
Yeah, it was admittedly, I mean, not gonna hear it because it was cut out. It was a misunderstanding on my part, but I was also I was so baffled at what I thought it was, and I was like, "What are you on?" But,
I feel like it's always the things that I say that get those kind of reactions.
That's why we bring you along.
See, and like I said, I personally, I mean, I don't know if you guys are going to go back and listen to any of the other episodes, but I talk about it relatively frequently. People ask me all the time, "Why did you want to co-host? Why you're good at this? You can interview, you can do this. Why do you want to co-host? Just run with it." And to me, that's the dynamic that co-hosts give you, is somebody says something and you get a reaction, or you say something and they get a reaction. All of those things play a part in it, and I really enjoy it. I told Shawn in that episode, which you guys just heard, but I don't listen to it every week. I kind of let them stock up a little bit, because days that suck at work where I just need something to just distract me and I laugh enough to make it a good day. That's what you guys do for me. So thank you.
That's the best compliment we can get.
I was gonna say, honest to God, as cheesy as it sounds, my goal in life is to make people happy. So that's literally, that's all I can, that's the nicest thing I could be told.
And if you could make people happy by occasionally talking about the Muppets, you're even more happy.
It's really interesting hearing about how your process of listening to the podcast, because that's what I do too when I go back and listen to our own episodes. I don't really I used to immediately listen to them as they were being uploaded, but then I started holding them off until I was doing something playing a video game, or if I'm going on a long, I'm this Saturday I'm going on a long road trip, and I downloaded a bunch of episodes of our podcast. So I told Shawn, I was like, if you see somebody starting to download, that's me.
You see a spike in the numbers.
You see a spike in the download.
And I was trying to skew the numbers again, Mason.
Yeah. That's always the weird thing, is skewing numbers. I have one episode and I'm not going to say which episode it is, because it's kind of shameless promotion at that point. But I have one episode that's sitting at 49, and one of my goals is to have a multi-numbered episode in 50 downloads, 50 listens, all that kind of stuff. And there's one that's just right at 49, and it's bugging the crap out of me, and I keep debating, do I just listen to it again just to make that one number?
Get it over. You're get it over. Yeah, I've been there, sitting there, when we hit any milestone or things like that, and I'm it's just one away. What if I do that and get the milestone? But more often than not, I'm I've got them all saved on my computer. If I want to listen to them, I'm going to listen to them there. Why would I?
Exactly. And that's the thing about it. I think that, like I said, you have a good dynamic. You can tell that you're friends on and off the air, and to be a fly on the wall, essentially, to the conversations you guys have. One thing that I really appreciate is, a little bit of nerdism, but also a little bit of education. And that's kind of what we're about here at Holmes Room, is, we want people to walk away from this podcast having learned something about themselves, about the guest, about life in general, or a perspective that they wouldn't otherwise have had. And you guys do a good job of giving perspective. You'll talk about games. I wish I could remember now, because it was the conversation with Shawn happened so long ago. I don't remember what game specifically we were talking about then, but an episode had just come out, and it was one of the games that I remember sitting around with all of my friends as 13, 14-year-old, and passing a controller around. And your conversation brought me right back to those moments. And I think that when it comes to podcasting, if you can have anything resonate with the listener, it's amazing. But to have you guys here to be able to have that compliment paid directly to you, not Shawn, because he doesn't need the ego boost, but everybody else, I think that
fair enough.
I think that everybody else taking that as like a feather in your cap, because you both do a good job as well as Shawn. You know, I always tell people that the inmates are running the asylum over on my side. So I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
I remember what game that was because I just listened to the episode yesterday. It was Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. That was the
Yeah.
one. And
Yeah.
that was an interesting
One that we had some of the most behind the scenes for, I think. That one,
Yeah.
we had a bunch. Obviously, recently we did an episode. We did our first handheld game, and that'll air in a few weeks. We did our first handheld game, and that had a lot of behind the
That
scenes.
did, yes.
A lot of behind the scenes. Those are the I love talking about games and all those things, but sometimes the ones that have the just ridiculous, crazy behind the scenes are sometimes the most fun, and like. Sometimes it adds to the experience when you know, oh yeah, this game was a bonkers behind the scene development. So like I'm enjoying playing it knowing that this took 5-6 years to make or things like that. We actually had a couple of those because Twisted Metal as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It definitely adds a context to it and gives a little bit of nuance to like why the game is the way it is.
There's also sometimes just funny behind the scenes facts. Like we just recently, the very last game we did, I won't say what it is, but it is a Ubisoft game that came out the exact same year as the first Assassin's Creed. So it's like there's some shoddy development on that game, and you're like, yeah, because they were focusing on Assassin's Creed.
Because they're like, yeah, we have this big giant game. We'll make another game as well. We'll put the E team on that.
There you go. Yeah, like I said, you know, it's that stuff. Like you just dropped some knowledge right there. I think that's what I love walking away from your podcast with, is like, I didn't know that was developed by, or this one fact is like something that just like stuck with me. Like, damn, I didn't know that. And I always appreciate those, because that's the stuff that separates you from somebody just bashing a game or somebody just, you know, reviewing a game, is you might do those things, but also you have a little bit of facts, a little bit of research done. And even if it's like just informational recall because you lived through it, it's still serves its purpose and it comes across well. So again, good on you guys for doing that.
Thank you.
Then it's working.
Thank you.
And we're doing what we're doing.
We're doing what we set out to do. That's good. Thank you.
There we go.
And you know, Shawn can attest to this. I don't pay empty compliments. If your work's crap, I'm going to give you pointers to try and help you out. So if I appreciate it, that means it definitely is like, it's a due compliment. And like I said,
I have witnessed multiple times and give the opposite of that.
Yes, all three of us get on this episode. Your podcast is shit.
Yeah. But yeah, so what I got you guys on here today, besides to give you a compliment in person, because I definitely wanted to do that, I wanted you guys to come up with some lists about games that people might be able to either get for somebody for a gift, because this is kicking off our holiday season episodes, and I wanted to spotlight small businesses and things like that. But how do you go shop a small business? How do you go shop for somebody without some like detailed knowledge? And who better to give detailed knowledge and some lists about gaming and game shopping, because let's face it, people are bad at game shopping.
Yes.
Than the guys from What the Bleep who know games inside and out.
Yeah. And we've purchased a lot of our games from a lot of different sometimes bigger businesses, sometimes eBay, sometimes things, but like we are always like, you know, and a lot of times this is like behind the scenes talking about how we're going to acquire a game or how we're going to do it. And we have a really great game store here in the town that we're in that sells a lot of great stuff and fixes stuff that we have purchased. Like we've given them plenty of money over the time, right?
We are single-handedly keeping used game stores in business.
But you know, it is one of those things where not every, especially parents, but even people like that, aren't always the best at buying their kids games or just buying their, you know, their adult children. You know, if you're like, hey, you know, I'm gonna buy you a game this year because you're interested, you're in that sort of thing, you know. And I think all of us can say that we have experienced bad gaming gifts over the years. Ooh, sometimes it's led to, you know, oh, we need to play this game because I have a story for this. But but we've all kind of had one like, oh, it's that moment, you know, you get that present and you're really excited because you've asked for a video game and you opened it and then you realize what you got. And you don't want to be rude, but you're just like, that is not the game I was wanting.
And I think it's an issue that has kind of like with the rise of like buying games digitally now, and with physical games not being as popular, the shovelware issue has been less of a thing lately. You know, kind of gone are the days when a parent would be rushing into like the back end of Walmart where all the games are in a panic going, I have $20 and I need a Wii game for my kid, you know, and then they end up getting some piece of garbage shovelware.
M&M Adventures.
Yes, like that. Yeah, exactly like that. But I think gone are those days. I think shovelware still exists.
It's phone games though.
But it's more phone games. It's more digitally, and it's less likely now. But it can still happen where you end up with parents who don't really understand like what the hot games are to buy their.
I mean, I think it happens less nowadays also because what's the biggest game in the world right now? Oh, Fortnite. So if you want to get your kids a video game gift, get them like a $20 V-Bucks card or whatever. Like,
I know a lot of parents who don't know anything really about video games who then are like, well, I got him Fortnite, gift card. I got him, some V-Bucks. I got him an Xbox, gift card, things like that. So like, yeah, I've heard a lot of those things, but like, we like to talk about the specifics though. We like to get down and be like, this is what you should buy your child. Don't let them be ungrateful.
Right. Yes.
And that's why we're here today. So, without further ado, who wants to go first? We're gonna do like a round table deal. So, one of you go, then the next one, then the next one, and I instantly see. I can see what just happened, and I think it's like just probably par for the course with the three of them. Somebody got voluntold just now.
So the funny thing that happened is since this is on a medium, you can't see it. Thomas pointed at Shawn. Shawn pointed at me, and I was going to put my hand up, but I didn't want to because my first thought was still on this. So we were all going to be pointing at each other.
We do lists a lot, and sometimes we remember before we hit record to decide what order we're going to go into, and then sometimes it's literally just me being like, Mason, start it off, please.
So I guess, yeah, with the verbal permission that I got from Shawn, I guess I can go ahead and go first. So tiny bit of a confession here. I haven't really played a brand new game in a long time. Quickly thinking, I don't think I've played a game that's released this year. I think.
I think you said that earlier in the year you hadn't yet. So I don't think.
Well, Did Shredder's Revenge come out this year?
No, that was last year.
That was last year. Okay, yeah. So yeah, the
DLC's coming out this year.
DLC's coming. Okay, so all the newest games that I've played have all been from last year. So I went into this looking at games that haven't come out yet, and I think by the time this comes out, they probably will have come out by then. In fact, one of them I know for sure is going to come out by then. But I'm looking more towards future games. That was my thought. So the big one that immediately came to me first is like if you're a parent looking for a game for a child and you want like a guaranteed smash hit, guaranteed something that your child is gonna like, you can't go wrong with Mario. You can't go wrong with Mario. I don't think Mario has had even in spin-offs, like a truly bad game in a long time.
Truly bad, no. Have they had mediocre at times? Sure. But some of that's just depending on what it is. But no, it's you're guaranteed at least to be getting a 6 out of 10.
You're guaranteed competency.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think it's even though the game hasn't come out yet, I think it's a very sure bet to say that Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the new Mario 2D side scroller that's coming out later this year, I think that's going to be a surefire win. If you're a parent and you give that to a kid, that is a knockout of the park. That is.
Yeah. Not to mention, it'll show, it's got a lot of the classic platforming feels to it.
Yes.
You've got new power up. Mario's an elephant.
Yes.
that is absolutely going to be a surefire. Like, maybe your kid is like, I wanted to, I wanted guns blazing. And you're like, no, you need to learn where you came from. Mario, it is.
Yeah. So, and mainly where I come from this is that one of the first sort of video game gifts that I got was for Christmas. It was from my aunt and uncle, and they got me the red Wii bundle with New Super Mario Bros. Wii in it.
Oh, I remember that Wii.
Yes, and that was huge for me. So I feel like any child getting it, I feel like it's going to be pretty special for kids to get this new Mario game.
If you talk to a lot of kids, their first system with game, a lot of times it's Mario in some capacity.
Yes.
Albeit I can be the old man and say, my first system was Super Nintendo with Mario Bros. All-Stars and Mario Bros. World.
Tell us more, Grandpa.
Okay, Grandpa. I got Super
Time
Nintendo.
to go to bed.
What's that?
Take the meds, Grandpa. Go back to bed.
I like that one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I think you're probably spot on with, like, you can't go wrong with Mario, and I think there's a little bit of nostalgia factor for, like, a parent getting it who might sit down with their kid and want to watch it or want to see it. That was a good one. Good way to start us off. All right, who we got next? Who's going next?
I'll go next. I'll jump in because I can just piggyback right off of Mason and pick the other Mario game coming out.
There's another one?
Yeah, this fall. If anybody listened to the last time I was on this podcast, we in the this or that segment question was new game or reimagine or remake.
Oh yeah,
and things. And I said I think at this point remakes. Well, this holiday season, one of the greatest Mario games of all time is getting a Switch remake. Super Mario RPG. Is coming to the Switch. Now, I'm the big RPG guy of the group. I'm the guy that's like, look, let me sit down and play a 70-hour grind through turn-based RPG for the next 6 days. I'll see you in a week. But if again, especially with the way Mario is, it is a lot more kid-friendly. It's a lot more, so if you have younger kids, but also even if you have older, or if you're an adult just wanting to get a video game as a gift, this game, it came out on the Super Nintendo at the end of the Super Nintendo's life, and it sold fine. It sold well, but it hit cult classic, and it is one of the rarest Super Nintendo games out there in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Hundreds of dollars to get. Well, Nintendo has finally decided to remake it, and it's going to be a slightly upgraded graphics. There's a few little things that seems like are changing, but more than anything, it is just a straightforward, better graphic version of this game we loved. So, if I'm going to start off and say a game for this holidays, let's make sure this game sells well. Let's make sure that maybe we get more of these sort of games, because I love Mario RPGs, and especially where it all started on Super Mario RPG for the Nintendo Switch.
See, if I was somehow in charge of Nintendo and I could have picked the next Mario RPG to remake, I don't think that one would have been my first choice. I would have gone with either the first Paper Mario or Thousand Year Door. But the fact that this is the one that's getting remade, it's still really neat.
It's awesome.
Mario RPG is already the best game of the year because it has little chunky boy Mario.
It does have little chunky boy Mario, and we get back Mallow and Gino, who are characters that really are only in this game in the Mario world.
They are.
They're only in this game, so it's great that we're going to get to see them again, because I love this game. I love the characters. I love that it was one of the first times that Bowser wasn't the bad guy of a Mario game.
Yeah.
That, you teamed up with him to fight a bigger bad. It's just an awesome, fun game with really, really, really unique RPG mechanics. Yeah.
All right. Anchor in this round one. What we got?
Cripes. Well, we've already hit 2 genres. We've hit platformer, we've hit RPG. Shawn said I'm the fighting game guy last time, so I got to fill the quota. For me, there are a couple fighting games that's come out this year. One of which you should not buy your child. Do not buy your child Mortal Kombat 1 for the love of God.
Don't traumatize your children, is what we're saying.
Hey, little Timmy, guess what I got you? Oh boy, oh god. But the best fighting game of the year so far, and what I think would be a good Christmas present, holiday present for anyone, it's the biggest fighting game of the year so far. It's Street Fighter 6.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's the only one of our selections so far that has actually come out. It's been out since June 2nd, and yet it's stellar. It's pretty amazing. The fighting feels good. There are multiple ways that you can play the game. So if you're new to Street Fighter, you can get into it. If you're not new, you can play it the normal way. There is a big story mode, so if you're a lonely child like me and have no friends, you still have a way to play the game. And I think it's just ultimately not only worth the money, but it is a fun, bright, and colorful game that I think anyone can get into, because on the surface, yeah, it's bright, it's peppy, you get all these cool, interesting characters, because fighting games are good at making cool, interesting characters.
Especially Street Fighter.
Yes. And then you dig deeper, and it's like, oh, I'm getting my ass kicked. Well, time to try harder. Time to train like Rocky Balboa, except I'm punching buttons. So
It's just it's the montage scenes in the Rocky movies, but it's just the camera cutting around at different angles of you on a couch with a controller.
it's that Sega Sanshiro thing for the Sega Saturn, where he's punching a big Sega Saturn controller.
The selling point, above all, is that Zangief in the game is 7 foot tall, 400 pounds.
Wow.
The man is massive, and when he does things, steam comes off his body.
And steam comes off like everyone's body in that game. It's hilarious.
It is one of the most gorgeous fighting games we've ever gotten. Arguably, I think the most gorgeous fighting game we've ever gotten.
Yeah, admittedly, this is entirely a personal thing. I don't love the more realistic art style, but they add so much color and personality to it that I don't mind.
They were able to blend realism with the anime aesthetic that is Street Fighter.
Yeah.
So
Well, there you go. I like that one too. That's a good one, and that's a amazing compliment coming from the three of you that it looks that good. So that one definitely sounds like one of those things I may or may not get my nephew, because that might be something that he would be into. But continuing this on round 2 and fight. Who's next?
Oh no, I didn't realize that's what we were doing here. I'm gonna get murdered. I'm gonna get murdered in recording. Anyways, so going from one side-scrolling platformer to another, I have a feeling I might accidentally be taking Thomas's spot on here, because this is another one of his big things. And if you were going to mention this, I apologize.
I think I know what it is, and no, I wasn't. So
You weren't? Okay, so that's good. So I'm going with another platforming franchise that also has a game coming out later this year. I believe November, I think. Or no, wait, no, I don't think it has a set date.
right now, rumored holiday season.
Yeah, if it's the one I'm thinking of, it's
anyways. That may not. It's a game franchise that may not have been as consistent as Mario has been, but when it's been in 2D, I think that's where it's been the most consistent. And we're getting a new 2D entry in it right now, and it is Sonic Superstars, which, to me, in my opinion, it looks like the most like fresh and innovative Sonic game we've gotten in a long time, even after we just got another very fresh and innovative Sonic game in the form of Frontiers. I think
this is Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog erasure. How dare you?
I forgot about Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. But yeah, I really like that we're getting into this era of Sonic where they're pushing their boundaries a little bit more. I felt like they've been kind of staying in their own little space for a while, and it's nice to see them starting to reach out and sort of do things that are kind of similar to what they did before, but doing them in a new and sort of fresh way.
4-player local multiplayer.
That's another
the
big
selling
one,
point on it.
yes.
4-player local multiplayer.
I will always be an advocate for local multiplayer,
Yeah.
because I think it's an aspect of gaming that's kind of been dying recently, and I want it to be back on the upswing.
I would agree
When
with that.
we live streamed when they announced this game. We were live streaming when they came on it, and you could just see for a moment all of us kind of like quiet, like just like, Ooh, what is this?
Shiny new Sonic game.
I got a question for you on that one. So,
Okay.
what do you think the age bracket is that's going to be able to start playing that game at the lowest?
At the lowest, that's a good question, actually. I'd go with probably like 9, 10, 11, 12, like late grade school, early middle school, I think is like the perfect, because I kind of feel like anyone younger than that probably wouldn't get into the gameplay as much. Like I remember I was really young when I started trying to get into Sonic for the first time. I was probably like 5 or 6, and I got when I got the Sonic Classics collection on the DS, and it had the first 3 Sonic games, and it had Knuckles on it. And I remembered trying to play those, and I couldn't get that far, so I didn't end up enjoying it as well. But as I got older, as I got a little bit older, not that much older, but as I got a little bit older, I was able to get to grips with the Sonic gameplay a little bit more. So I feel like 9, 10, 11-year-olds, I think that's the perfect age to start Sonic games.
So it just kind of depends on how much your kid is, especially if it's younger, or nephew or cousin or whatever little person you're buying it for. If they play a lot of video games, then it's probably not going to be one they're going to get in. They're going to have much trouble getting into the gameplay and things like that. But if it's someone who maybe only plays a few games here and there, it might be one that may be a little bit harder for a few more years, because just some of the I know my daughter wouldn't want to play it. She's 10, I wouldn't want to play it very much at this point. But
it does depend. It's good that Mason did Super Mario Brothers Wonder and Sonic Superstars, because Mario is good if you're just getting into gaming.
Yes.
Like if you're just now getting into video games, that is a good starting point. Sonic is a little bit advanced. It's a little faster. It's a little harder. It's got a bit more going on. And that's not to say Mario was bad. It's just more basic, for lack of a better term. And basic's a good thing. So
yes,
all ages.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, the reason I ask is my daughter enjoyed the movies, so a Sonic game coming out, and it's like, I don't know that she cares enough about like video games specifically. Like she kind of tinkers around with like the Lego series of like any game that has come out with like a Lego version. She enjoys that, but like whether or not she's into them enough is kind of hard. And my older daughter, she's the one that like the games that she wants to play are like sporadic. There's no choosing. So if I were to get that game for them, she may or may not play it. But if she doesn't want to play it, then like the little one definitely ain't playing it, because she won't have any help.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's very funny you bring up Legos, because Sonic Superstars has at this point, I think it's a pre-order bonus that has Lego skins for the characters.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be something we get.
Which Thomas's Lego heart just was like expanded 4 times when he got that news.
Yeah. It's also very funny that you brought up the age bracket being like 9, 10, 11, 12 for Sonic and your experiences. That was the exact opposite of mine, because I first played a 2D Sonic game when I was like 5, I want to say.
I was about 6 when I started,
Yeah,
when I played it.
I went to my cousin's house, and she had a Genesis with Sonic and Knuckles in it. I thought it looked neat. I started it, played it, and I'm like, this is my life now.
This is going to be everything for the rest of my life.
And decades of disappointment.
That's kind of where I was at. Is I remember playing Sonic on a Genesis, but my instant thought and why I like asked that question was, it's like, damn, that controller was way smaller though. Like my hands could actually hit the buttons.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
All right, who we got next? Who's got the next?
I'll go next, because as I may have mentioned at the beginning, there was like, I don't know how to do a normal list.
Christ. Final Fantasy 6. Oh.
No, I could have gone with the Pixel remasters, but no. I really wanted to with this list, is because one of my passions recently has really become retro gaming. And so I wanted to like take one slot on my list of like, okay, what if somebody that you're getting a gift for is really getting into collecting or retro collecting? What would be a good starting point? What would be something, depending on what they're going for? And so I thought look, this maybe is more of a gag gift or a stocking stuffer or something small. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're getting this gift as their only gift, they probably will not be happy. And it'll be one of those stories that they'll tell on a podcast in 10 years. But one of my favorite purchases of this year that I have on retro gaming is I bought the Burger King gaming trilogy.
Oh my God.
So we covered one of them on the podcast, Sneak King, which is basically where you sneak around and give people food. It's an amazing game. Thomas is less sure of the amazingness on this game, but there are 3 games. They cost you can get all 3 of them for about $8. They are not expensive. Everyone sells them. Every online or every game store is probably going to have a copy of them because there are so many copies. But when I look if you asked me, hey, Shawn, in your gaming collection, what is one of your favorite things that you have in there? My answer is always going to be the Burger King collection. Sneak King, Big Bumpin', and Pocket Bike Racer.
Of all the ways you could have gone with that, I was not expecting the absolute curveball of the Burger King trilogy.
I think that more people should play these games. When I streamed Sneak King on Twitch before playing it, I was the only person on Twitch that had streamed Sneak King in over 3 months.
Wow. I think something that you didn't mention before is that they play
Xbox.
on original Xbox and 360.
Yes.
I don't think they're backwards compatible for Xbox One. I can't imagine why they would be.
But yeah, they are. The physical copies are all on Xbox and 360. So again, if you're the person who's collecting maybe is collecting PlayStation or GameCube, this is not necessarily for them. But if you're like me, who is collecting all systems as often as possible, look, this is a silly gift. This is a funny gift. But if that person's getting into this or has gotten into this and hasn't gotten them yet, they will know this system, these games, and this is the one that you're like, hey, got you a real gift over here. Here's this funny thing that I got for you. Everyone will get a laugh. And I think, you know what? We talked about, putting a smile on people's face. There will be a smile.
There will be, yeah.
You talked about they'll know the name. I just imagine the Burger King and fucking Braveheart. Like, I don't know the name of the Burger King.
I watched that.
I definitely also was not expecting that, and it makes me debate getting it as a gag gift because I think that would be funny. But somebody that like
Burger King dominant.
Maybe somebody that doesn't have like the newest systems, or they just want to get their kid something fun, but still have something there. That might be a good option because it didn't sound like it was expensive. Didn't sound like it was something that like you couldn't sit around and be like, let's play this silly game. But yeah. So
Mason wanted to play more of it when we were playing it. Mason was like, do we have to stop now? Can I play another level?
I thought it was really fun. It was weirdly addicting. I just had a funny thought that you can go up to the person you're giving it to, put it in one of those brown Whopper bags and be like, Whopper, Whopper, Whopper.
Shout out to you guys clipping in that song for that episode. That was hilarious. I appreciated it so much.
Me sitting here going like, I don't know what to put in for this episode. I don't know what would be fitting because the game does not have much music. And I was like, wait a second. There is something that is meme work. Oh, I'm doing it.
That was the first time I'd heard the full song.
Same.
Because I also listen to our episodes. I do listen to them as they come out, but I pressed it and I'm like, okay, this is where the episode actually starts. What do you mean? It's still going.
All right. So what's the next one on the list?
All right. Well, Shawn's gone kind of gag gifts. Mason's gone platformers. I will again I'll combine the two. It's not a gag gift because these are genuinely good games. But oh my god, I was so excited when these got announced. You have no idea. A recent trilogy of video games from the PlayStation era is being repackaged and relaunched this fall, I believe.
And it's on all systems.
Yeah.
4, 5, Xbox, and Switch, as well as Steam, I think.
Yeah, it's for all of the modern systems. It's the Gex trilogy.
Gex!
If you don't know what it is, don't worry, you're not alone. Gex is like an old trilogy from, again, the 90s. It is trapped in the 90s because the main character is the Gex, the gecko, who is a gecko who watches way too much TV. So all of his dialogue is like dated pop culture references that occasionally are funny, but for the most part are confusing because they're so trapped in the 90s. And the fact that it's getting relaunched, I have a really weird affinity for the Gex character. So the fact that it's getting relaunched was unironically one of the hypest moments of the year for me in terms of game announcements.
All right, so question. Tuxedo or no tuxedo?
Tux. I gotta do the tux.
Gotta go with the tux.
Full on tux.
But yeah, that unironically that got me really excited. Will it be for everyone? No, I don't think so. But if you know someone who's into, kind of like me, who's into those kind of B-grade 3D platformers from the 90s, or into 3D platformers in general, Gex is an important trilogy for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think giving them that gift, I think that would be a good gift. Plus, if they're a fan of the meme, then they'll probably get a crack and they'll probably get a smile off it. So
I was just thinking, because you were talking about the Gex character and how his whole thing is making data pop culture references. Can you imagine if they made a character like that now that was like a platform character, and like every 10 seconds he was making like Justin Bieber jokes?
It would literally just be TikTok, TikTok references literally the entire time. And I kind of want to play that anyway.
Maybe not now. Maybe in like 10 years.
Well, all right. I love putting Gex on here. The same reason that I Super Mario RPG, because I hope people buy this franchise, because I want people to experience something that is maybe not the greatest game all the time, because Gex is kind of a messy game at times, but is awesome and deserves more of the love that it got. It kind of got not forgotten, but considering things like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro and what would then later Jack and Daxter and Ratchet and Clank kind of pushed away the forgotten platformers of the PlayStation era.
Yeah, it's a collectathon, and it's not as good as Mario RPG or whatever, but I genuinely do think there is a place for Gex. People find him annoying. I find him kind of charming, in all honesty. Do you want to know how big a fan of a Gex I am? I own the novel. There's a Gex novel, and I own it. I mean, novel. It's like 80 pages, so it's not really a novel, but I own it. So
is that technically a novella?
That's a novella. Yeah,
it's a novella.
I know some literature stuff.
All right, final round. Finish them.
I understood that reference. So since Shawn has decided to throw in an older title, I thought I would throw one in as well. It's not like ancient old or anything, but it's a few years old by this point. But it's still getting new updates to this day. And I think it's a great holiday gift for parents, especially because it's the type of game that they can get on in on the fun as well. It's very easy to sort of pick up and play. And if you actually want to get good at it and actually master it, that can also be like it's another form of fun, but it's also fun for it. And that is Rock Band 4. This was a game that we actually got as a gift too in our family, roundabout when it came out, which I want to say was 2015, 2016.
That sounds about
something
right.
Like that. Yeah. And it's, and we got it because, prior to that, we had a PS2 in our house that we used for like the longest time until it finally crapped out on us. But we used it for the longest time, and we played the original Rock Band on that a lot as a family. And then when that crapped out, we got the new one, and we still love getting together, having Rock Band nights, arguing over who's going to be the singer and who's going to be stuck with one of the guitars. But we love playing that together. And the great thing about it is that unlike previous Rock Band games, which were very set into like one sort of genre, you're usually gonna get like most of the songs are going to be in one genre, and then there's maybe like one or two in another. unlike that, this newest iteration of Rock Band has tons of different songs from all types of different genres. So no matter what type of music you listen to, you're gonna find something that you like in the down. It's all downloadable content. You're gonna find something that you enjoy in this downloadable content list, and all the songs are like $2 to buy and download, and like they have everything. Like just a few months ago, they added the newest Nicki Minaj song on there. Like that's what I mean when like they have everything, and the list is huge. You're gonna find your favorite type of music on there, and it's a game for the whole family to enjoy. So
Good. I like that one. That one sounds fun. That definitely sounds like something that, like, I know my family, we have a big family, so like when we get together and do stuff, that sounds like something that like I could see somebody breaking out or doing. So hopefully, that recommendation does get picked up by somebody, because it's definitely a family function. So we're gonna keep with the circle and go with Shawn.
We'll do that. I decided to keep all of my games at a level that was meant more for the entire family. When I was going through all this, so that was on that. So I will just briefly say, if you have an adult kid, Final Fantasy 16 is awesome. Anyway, but it is rated M. It is violent and bloody and sexuality in it. So like, if don't buy it for your kids. Anyway, but I wanted to decide what would be the game that I think is the most fun if you're buying for a family. And recently, my daughter has really gotten into a game on the Switch that we play together, and I think that it's sold okay, but honestly not compared to its previous game, which is kind of defined with the console, and that is Switch Sports. Wii Sports is kind of the defining game of the Wii in a lot of ways. Everyone played it because it came with it. Well, Switch Sports is a lot of those same games. You have golf, you have tennis, you have bowling, but you also have badminton and volleyball. And the big thing that's added is soccer with a strap that you can hook onto your leg and kick the ball. And my daughter loves that. That's her absolute favorite thing, is to run up and kick the ball with the Switch controller set up there. And I'm excited, to play it with my family. We're going to be doing that actually this week, as I'm talking about it with all my family. We're going to sit down and we're going to play this game as a bunch of us. And I really want to see this game get a little more success. And I think that maybe is the selfish bias reason I'm saying it here, because I would love that there was talk of DLC and bringing back things like baseball to it. That didn't happen because it didn't sell well. So I'm going to say here, this is a classic that came out about 2 years ago, 2 or 3, I think it was 2 years ago, that kind of got overlooked because it wasn't exactly Wii Sports, but it is pretty darn close. So I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's the same sort of style game, but a little more.
That's really interesting. I even though I had played that game before, I hadn't really thought about that, because normally when I play with my friend Jazz, and we just kind of it's usually a one-on-one thing. I haven't really thought about getting like a huge group.
Yeah, you can, because you can, with the bowling, you can do 4 people all on the same screen at one time.
That's right.
Which is actually kind of cool that everyone's bowling at the same time. You can play 4 people with volleyball. You can do multiples with doubles with tennis. So like, it's a lot of fun. It's fun with the whole family. And again, it's a Switch game, so it has not dropped down tremendously in price, but it's not a full price game anymore. You can get it for $40-something, especially if you have young to middle, like that not quite teenagers. Yeah, this game's perfect. Now, honestly, teenagers will probably enjoy it too if you can convince them to come and join family things.
Yeah. All right.
Should probably add a disclaimer though that the Switch Joy-Con motion detecting isn't always perfect, so
I've never had issues with it though.
Okay, well, you might have issues.
All right. What's the last one?
Okay, so mine, I'm honestly still debating in my head which one of these two I want to do. So, because up until the last minute, literally right now, I was going to go with the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga.
The game rocks.
Because because, it's a really good family get together time. It's funny as hell, in all honesty, and everyone loves a good Lego game. But that game has been out for a while, and it's already, like, I think the highest selling Lego game of all time.
Sheesh.
So you've probably already bought it, and if you haven't, well, there's a recommendation. So instead, I'm going with one that might be a bit of a gamble. So this might be aged poorly by the time this episode comes out, but whatever, life on the edge. So a recent movie came out, and in sort of a tie-in effort with it, there was a game that was announced at the Game Awards. But we've heard nothing about it since then, which is why it's kind of a gamble, because all we've seen is this announcement trailer. But from what we know, it is a free-to-play multiplayer game, kind of like Fortnite, but with a little bit of a brand that a lot of kids are into, and that is Transformers Reactivate. And
That's right, I remember that.
because, again, genuinely, we have gotten nothing on it for a while, which is why it's a bit of a gamble putting it here. But a lot of insider data is saying that it is a fun game. A lot of insider data is saying that it is a game that is worth the time, worth the energy to put into it. Again, making it free to play, there's probably going to be some scummy tactics, I'm not going to lie. But as long as you control your spending, and maybe you don't have to spend a dime. Again, it depends on how the game is structured.
Mm-hmm.
There will always be that kind of risk to it. But in my opinion, because Transformers is such a big IP, and it's something that you can tie in with so much stuff, and a lot of kids are into Transformers, the amount of children I've seen at the new movie, Rise of the Beasts, I have seen so many children every time I've gone to see that movie, and I've seen it a couple times. So, yeah, that's my idea. My last game, again, a game we don't know a lot about, but I'm willing to take that risk, is Transformers Reactivate.
That was a really, really fun reveal to watch, because that was that last year's Game Awards?
Yeah, it was the game.
Yeah,
because
But yeah, last year's Game Awards, which we all watched on, and we live streamed on Twitch, and we started watching the trailer, and the trailer's presented in a way that you don't know that if you didn't know about it beforehand, you wouldn't know that it was a Transformers game. So we were watching this trailer and we were like, oh, this looks pretty cool. This looks pretty all right. Then the logo comes up and we're all like, Transformers. What?
Yeah, it's funny if you watch that video. I'm literally sitting back on the couch, like I don't give a damn.
And then just
like the minute Transformers comes up, I just sit up and I'm looking at the screen like, I'm sorry, what?
I like it. You guys did some pretty good lists. I appreciate you what you put together here, and I think that gives people some options. But more importantly, I think that it gives people an opportunity on my podcast to hear what kind of conversations you have on your podcast. And that's also what this is about, is supporting, other people that are out here following a passion or following a creativity. I am a creative at heart and to my core. So supporting anybody else that is a creator of anything is always, one of the things if I can support you in some kind of way, I'm going to, because we got to stick together, because you need that support and it's hard to find sometimes. So I appreciate all three of you being here. I definitely appreciate you spending time to put lists together, and insightful lists at that. Like I didn't know what your lists were going to be, but yeah, I appreciated it a lot.
Probably more than we should. We love lists. On our Patreon exclusive podcast, What the Bleep Are You Watching? We did a list of our favorite movie clips, and
yeah.
I had to edit that beast. It is 1 hour and 55 minutes long because we would not shut up.
It's a lot. That one's a long one.
That was how it was, because genuinely we're like 45 minutes in, and it's like, what number are we on for? Fuck.
This will be an interesting episode for fans of your podcast to listen to, hearing us, because it'll be an interesting litmus test. They're either gonna be like, oh sweet, I'll go check this out, or they're either gonna be like, I never want to hear these people again.
I think that's one of the things that I enjoy about my listeners is so far I've had pretty good luck. Anybody I've put in front of them, they've been like like receptive of. And, you know, when I go comment on somebody's Instagram page, you know, afterwards, because I try and support all these people even after they're on as guests. And I see that like somebody that follows me is now following them. So I'm sure at least one person will come check you guys out for sure, because
We'll take it.
that's kind of what it's about.
One's more than zero. So there you go.
Exactly. Again, like I said, thank you for being here, and thank you for having, you know, from my experience listening to your podcast, this was a very like chill conversation. I've heard them get way more animated. So good job.
Mason did not break out cats today.
Oh, man.
So.
No.
But you know,
A lot.
Well, they haven't announced the Cats game yet.
that
But they will.
rock band cats.
Yeah.
But we're always glad to be able to come on and talk and give lists and you know, maybe direct somebody to go and support their local game store, because legitimately those are some of my fondest memories in life have been hanging out with friends or going to friends with, you know, and getting a game, you know, maybe we only spent $3 because it was a cheap game there, and then we went back and made memories because, you know, we played this game and I'll never forget it. Like, support those stores because they are awesome, and it is hard to keep them afloat.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody wanted to find you, because we just talked about people hopefully going to find you, where can they do that?
Well, easiest place is probably over on Apple or Spotify. Just what the bleep are you playing? Those are the easiest places, but we're on almost every podcasting app that exists at this point. There's maybe a few that I haven't gotten us over there. And if you wanted us to just find us directly or support us directly, it would be at patreon.com/whatthebleep, where we do have a lot of our episodes, especially the gaming ones, are free to listen. But, you know, our other podcasts that we are creating and working on, you know, we have a couple of tiers, and it's a way to, you know, give a couple bucks and support us.
We've got a lot of ideas.
Oh, so many.
Awesome.
And I
thank
think
you guys.
we might also mention that we'll probably have already started doing this by the time this episode comes out, but we also had plans to promote more on TikTok and doing more stuff with that.
Yes,
So,
we're planning to start working on some of that stuff. Some promotion videos. There may be TikTok or Instagram. So if you're, I guess, listening to this one and you go over to Matt's, you know, Instagram page or set up on it, you know, you can find one of us from there.
yeah.
There you go. Awesome. Well, again, thank you, all three of you, for being here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Exactly.
The bell is about to ring. If you want to drop us a voice message or simply ask a question, you can do that by clicking the link in the show notes below. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people find us. Theme music by Kinsey. More music available on Spotify. Remember, every day is a class. Go learn something.